triazoles, we can get effective doses inside trees at about a tenfold increase in efficiency over what we can do with branched trees. So right now we have a treatment where potted avocado trees, nursery trees, could be protected from this disease. The problem is that large trees, once you get past a 7-year-old tree that has thick bark, it's virtually impossible to get significant levels of fungicide in the xylem. The bark is just too thick. It's impossible, even with the peppercorn, to get sufficient levels of fungicide in the xylem. That's a problem. One of the issues that our local nursery people are interested in is whether or not fruit and seed are affected by this pathogen. We've conducted some studies that suggest that this fruit and seed are not infected with this pathogen if you harvest them from trees that are infected with the pathogen. There seems to be a barrier, a powerful barrier right at the highland, where the pedicel will be infected, but not the pulp of the fruit nor the seed. So this is good news for us because we export seed to California, for instance, for use as seeds. We also export grafted plants, and one of the things we're going to be testing too is the possibility that this thing could be moved in grafted materials. I think that the possibility for both of those is probably really remote, but again, we don't want to be disseminating this pathogen outside Florida. Worst case scenario would be to export the infected as well. That's another issue. Very briefly talk about this. We've been interested in trying to figure out how the host reacts to this disease. And in 2 slides, I'm just going to show that it really rapidly shuts down the ability of the host to conduct water and nutrients. Xylem, you can think of those as pipes that conduct water and nutrients from the roots. Very quickly shut down and become water will not pass through affected xylem. I'll just point out down here. This is 3 days after inoculation. This is a stem 5 centimeters above the inoculation point. Inoculation was done right here. This 1-1 means that there are no external symptoms and no internal symptoms. And yet we see, even 3 days after inoculation, in the absence of any symptoms whatsoever, we're already starting to see, based on this coloration that this acid fuchsinaxate, a reduction in the movement of water in these plants. As time progresses in from 7 days to 2 days, there's virtually no water production going on. But this is a very early response of the host to these. This just automatically shows the same thing. Very, very quickly reduces the ability of the host to conduct water. I won't spend any time on this. We were interested in the epidemiology of this disease also. Most of the work that's been done on this disease so far has been from natural environments. We've gone to areas where red bay and swamp and some of these other native groups are being affected by this disease. We're interested now that the disease is down in Miami-Dade County. We have natural areas that are right up against our commercial areas. So we're interested in what factors in the landscape are going to help us predict whether or not this thing is going to move into agroecosystems and monoculture avocado. We still don't have this disease yet in commercial avocado production, although in the natural environment in swamp area, which is right next to this commercial production areas. So the next year or 2 years should be exciting. Okay, I think the last thing I've got in my talk is that can other beetle species serve as vectors for this pathogen? We don't know that, but we need to determine this, because if there are other species besides xylem graves that can vector this pathogen, it's going to really change how we look at managing this disease. So in 2009, we had a false alarm. We thought we had Laurel Wilt in Dade County, and during that event, our regulatory people came down and sampled avocado trees down there that we thought had Laurel Wilt, and found there were quite a few species of ambrosia beetle that colonized on this poster, 13 species now, I think, of ambrosia beetle that have been reported before or since on avocado. So a lot of different species of ambrosia beetle will visit avocado. This is just for reference up here is the red beetle ambrosia beetle. So what we've done, what we did is from archived specimens of some of those beetles that came out of those logs back in 2009, we wanted to determine whether or not avocado and also from red bait and other species could we ever detect Laurel. And that's a great TV story. If you remember, these beetles are really tiny. This is again CAAvoGrowers. These other beetles, you either have again a mandibular mycangium here or back in the thoracic area. We've taken individuals of these then, have surface disinfested in ethanol, and then round them up and look for whether or not we can recover this pathogen in these different beetle species. And long story short, in addition to CAAvoGrowers, these are all from the red bait so far, not from avocado, but from red bait. These other species that also infest avocado, we recover the pathogen from them as well. So the next question is, are these things attracted to living avocado, and could they become vectors of this pathogen? We don't know. But one of the odd things that's come out of Jorge's work is that avocado is not particularly good horizontal. This species of beetle does not do well with avocado. These other species don't really do much. So we haven't done the work yet, but again, there is this possibility that there's a disturbance. There are other vectors out there. Okay, to summarize, again, my mission here, and Jonathan's and Jorge's mission is to scare you guys. This is a legitimate threat to avocado production, immediate threat to avocado production in Florida, and it's working on the horizon for you guys here in California, Mexico, and anybody that grows commercial avocado should be really concerned about this. It kills trees. This is a bad one. Unfortunately, so far I've identified no really good resistance in avocado to this disease, and there's probably a really good reason for this. There's really good evidence for the fact that not only does the beetle come from Southeast Asia, but this pathogen came with the beetle from Southeast Asia. So avocado is an American endemic, and it did not co-evolve with this pathogen. So it's a new encounter disease. Because of that, there was not co-evolved resistance in avocado to this pathogen. So although I'd love to find good resistance, it might not be there. We've got effective fungicides. The question is, how do we get them inside trees? So the rub for me is in trees in an orchard that are large and bearing fruit. It looks like the only way to get those trees effectively treated is with this macroinfusion technique. Jonathan will talk in his talk about some ongoing work that we have. But that's our hope. Failing that, all we have right now is effective treatment for nursery trees. Trees in orchards, don't know if we have effective fungicides, we don't know whether they would be cost-effective in an orchard situation. Next. Again, fruit and seed don't appear to be a reservoir for this pathogen. A lot of graft material. Next. Other ambrosia beetle species may vector this pathogen. Again, we're going to be conducting research on this very shortly. Next. This microscopic and histological information that I presented in a second fashion. Our ultimate goal on this thing is trying to understand how the host reacts to the pathogen. To better understand that, we might be able to predict how to induce resistance, proper resistance in this host to this disease. Next. Epidemiology studies, a lot of work remains to be done there. Next, please. Okay, again, there's a lot